Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. My name is Jim Begley. I'm the chairperson of the Metropolitan Utilities District Board of Directors. I'd like to welcome all of you to the committee meetings this morning, March 6th, 2024. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. I'd like to invite our Vice President of Safety and Security, Shane Hunter, to provide a briefing regarding protocol for all individuals in attendance at the board meeting today in the event of an emergency. Shane.
Good morning. Shane Hunter, Vice President of Safety and Security. We all enter through the back room through that door today, and that's the normal entry and exit into this space. We also have another exit on the right-hand side of the room, and then you'll note that outside that door is the nearest fire extinguisher and first aid kit. A little bit farther down that hallway is the nearest AED, and with that location of that AED in mind, can I have a show of hands of who's CPR and AED trained in the room? Excellent, thank you very much. Should there be a medical emergency in this space today, 911 will be contacted by the security desk who will then escort medical personnel into the meeting room. It is severe weather awareness season we're approaching, so just take note that outside the same door on the right, in that hallway is our severe weather shelter for this space. And if we need to evacuate this room for any reason and evacuate the building, we'll go through the same door on the right, take two lefts, and end up in the parking garage for a roll call. And that concludes the safety briefing.
Thank you, Shane. Roll call, please.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Begley.
Here.
Cook.
Here.
Friend.
Here.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Here.
Howard.
I would like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall in the back of the room. This morning, we are proud to present M.U.D employee and IBW 1521 member Paul Contreras with the district's highest honor, the Distinguished Service Award, for going above and beyond the call of duty. Paul, we are so grateful that you and your family are safe, and pleased that you have been in our, and please know you're in our thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. We are here to share our appreciation for the extraordinary life-saving measures Paul took on February 14th when he and his three daughters were attending the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade. What they thought at first to be fireworks turned out to be gunfire. That's when Paul saw a man running and heard someone yelling to stop him. At that moment, Paul did not hesitate. He tackled and helped restrain the shooting suspect until the police arrived. For his courageous and selfless act during a very dangerous and chaotic situation, we present Paul with the Distinguished Service Award. On behalf of the board, our fellow employees, our customer owners, and the entire community, we can't thank you enough for your life-saving measures and dedication to public safety. Congratulations and thank you, Paul.
I just want to say thank you for being recognized, everybody. I appreciate it, and the families were safe. That was a big thing. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you.
Paul, we'd like to all shake your hand.
Yes, please.
You want to get a group picture with Paul?
Oh, if you would.
I'd like to invite Interim Senior Vice President and Chief Operations Officer Andy Melville to review the proposed capital expenditures. Andy.
Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Well, good morning. Excuse me. Andy Melville, I've been serving as your interim Senior Vice President, Chief Operations Officer as we've awaited the arrival of Mr. Miner, which you'll get to meet here shortly. So I'll be reviewing the capital expenditure letter behind tab 5. This month there are 3 items under buildings, plants, and equipment and 2 under system improvements. I'll be speaking to 1 in each of these categories this morning. The first item under buildings, plants, and equipment is labeled number 3, and that is in the middle of page 1. It requests approval for $8.1 million for the construction of a new electrical building and associated equipment as part of the Platte South Water Treatment Facility Capital Improvement Plan. If you look at the screen, you'll see a rendering of that building. The project was identified as a high-priority foundational project to start the decade-long capital improvement program, or known as CIP. It was identified due to the critical nature of the facility's electrical system and its timing as the first major project, which will allow for future CIP projects to be completed with minimal electrical disruption to the plant operations. Design of the new electrical building began in May of 2023. As you remember, due to the long lead times we've been experiencing with major equipment that's going to be placed in this building, we procured the transformers, electrical switchgear, and generators after your approval at the December board meeting, and subsequently those orders have been placed. In addition to the new building, this project will also install a new dual circuit service from OPPD and electrical distribution system paired with new emergency backup generators. This project was included in the 5-year capital plan with expenditures predicted in 24 and 25, totaling $9.5 million for the equipment procurement and building construction. Similar to other recently bid electrical projects, however, we've seen large-scale price increases in electrical equipment of this industrial nature. We've also had strong local competitiveness for this specialized industrial electrical contracting that has produced higher than initial estimates. But the of the 3 bids we saw, 2 were very close. Some of that other demand for competition is data centers and other large projects that are going on concurrently, even electrical generation plants. Those are really driving the market high. The building construction portion, however, of this bid was very close to the estimate. Given the critical nature of this project and timing for plant reliability, as well as the execution of the overall planned CIP, approval for this project is recommended with a total constructed cost of $16.4 million over 3 years. The amounts and timing of other capital improvement projects will be evaluated and adjusted as necessary to minimize the impacts or increases of this project and other capital spending as it is constructed over 24, 25, and now 26. I guess with that, I'd see if there's any questions before I move on to the next item. Second item is under system improvements in the middle of page 2, listed as number 1, and request approval for $65,918 to install pressure reducing valves for the Bennington pressure zone within the water distribution system. You'll see on the screen there's a picture. The dark blue is our zone 3, which is our highest pressure zone, and the aqua color is the Bennington zone. This project is the 3rd and final phase to improve pressures and reliability for customers served by the Bennington pressure zone. The first phase was completed last fall and included replacement and addition of water mains. And Jay, if you'd go to the next slide. That'll show you, it's a little hard to see, but there's some highlights, and the red mains were replaced as part of that water infrastructure project, so we could increase fire flows in multiple areas of that zone. The second phase is scheduled for this spring and will install a second 12-inch feed to the pressure zone. That's in the bottom left corner. You'll see the park there. And that red line, that'll be the second feed going into the zone. And this third and final phase will commission the secondary feed and install additional pressure reducing valves, which will greatly improve resiliency in the zone. As part of the final phase, the existing water tower will be permanently disconnected from the system and reconveyed to the city of Bennington in accordance with the terms of the franchise agreement. And there you see the water tower. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. Great. Thank you.
Interim Director of Plant Engineering, Adam Gartner, will review the acceptance of contracts and payments of final estimates. Adam, good morning.
Good morning. Adam Gardner, Interim Director of Plant Engineering. I'll be here to present the finals letter this month. It is a short letter, just one project at the Walnut Hill Reservoir with National Concrete Cutting as the contractor. This project removed degraded roofing materials off of the existing reservoir concrete cover structure. The roofing material was in a state of disrepair and sections were actually coming off after severe weather events. So this work did eliminate the need for further district maintenance to clean up the site following that severe weather. Project construction did go well. We met with the neighborhood association prior to the start of the work. The neighborhood was certainly appreciative of the work, and we did complete the project well under the $500,000 budgeted for this project.
Adam, was there asbestos involved in this as well?
Yes, so we did complete an asbestos survey prior to the start of the work. The survey did identify asbestos. We did include, the actual roofing material itself did not contain asbestos. We did have an asbestos contractor on site to ensure that the material did not disturb the asbestos. Any material that was disturbed would have been appropriately bagged and handled by our asbestos subcontractor.
And that was included in this price too?
The price for that asbestos subcontractor?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, well that makes sense then that this price is as high as it is.
Correct, yeah, it is a very large reservoir structure. We're talking about 3 acres of structure of roofing material that had to be removed.
Thanks.
Now, Adam, excuse me, that it's abandoned, the reservoir, right?
That is correct.
What's our long-term plans with that? Are we going to sell it, or what are we going to do?
Okay, so the long-term plans for that property are really still undecided at this time. I would divide the property up into 2 halves. On the east half is the pump station, the city park, the baseball diamond. As of now, there are no plans to really do anything with that portion of the property. That pump station is in service quite regularly and is a key part of our distribution system. On the west half, or the reservoir structure, it's identified as a priority that the district should get that to a more developable condition, demolish the reservoir. We're also trying to balance that with maintaining some flexibility in our distribution system, potential for future storage options or other distribution facilities. I would also mention that we are exploring a couple different federal and state grant options to help assist with the cost with redeveloping that property.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do you want to switch to the next agenda item? All right, so the next agenda item on tab 7, this is a recommendation from management to extend a 3-year partnership with 3 of our existing water service reconnect partners. These partners include Backlund Plumbing, Veskerna Plumbing and Excavating, and NextGen Plumbing. These 3 existing partners are used to reconnect water services to the new water main following water infrastructure projects completed by district crews. This partnership is an integral part of the complete water IR strategy that the district is pursuing, and it has a key role in meeting or exceeding our replacement goals in the last few years. In 2019, the district replaced just over 10 miles of water main, and by 2023, just 4 years later, we're up to over 18 miles of water main replaced. Roughly, district crews completed half of this work, and this water service reconnect partnership is key to supporting that district effort to replace that portion of the water main. These plumbing contractors do complete work in customers' front yards and occasionally inside their homes. and they've certainly proven themselves to be trustworthy and reliable partners. They have added resources to that effort and shown commitment to our partnership. And I'd also like to highlight the efforts of district inspectors inspecting the contracted work to ensure that both our water rules are met and customer expectations are met or exceeded. All three contractors did agree to no price increase in 2024. The future 2 years will be negotiated. Again, similar to past years, all three of them will be paid under a common price schedule for the same work completed. We are recommending a longer 3-year extension to ensure that the district efficiencies with our water IR program are maintained. We've learned a lot over the last 3 years, and we want to make sure that we're maintaining those efficiencies. I would say this is going to be an especially big challenge in the future, knowing that our lead service work is going to be ramping up in 2024 and 2025. So we're looking for the 3-year extension to really lock in the success with our water IR program while we ramp up the lead service replacement work. That was all I had planned to discuss. Any questions?
I have one question, Adam. On page 2, under the section plan for 2020, April through March, in the second paragraph it says that the drinking water revolving fund, et cetera, require contractor bids rather than negotiate a price. In the next paragraph it says any contract price is negotiated for the 20-25 years. If at any time management does not approve of the negotiated pricing, is it negotiated or contract? What's the difference?
Yeah, good question. I'd like to make the distinction. The water reconnect work is negotiated. The lead service replacement work will largely be federally funded, essentially. And with the federal funding requirements, there are quite lengthy requirements to competitively bid that work. So I guess the intent of that paragraph, was to distinguish the difference between the negotiated water IR work and the competitively bid lead service replacements. So that the lead service replacements will be completed under separate contracts than what I'm here recommending for extension.
Okay, that makes sense now. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Adam. Vice President of Procurement and Enterprise Services, John Zellers, will now review the bids on materials and contracts. Good morning, John.
Good morning. John Zellers, Vice President of Procurement and Enterprise Services. Excuse me. Bids on materials and contracts may be found under tab 8. There are several items I plan to discuss this morning, and the first may be found at the bottom of page 2. We requested quotes for mail courier services between various district locations as the previous courier closed his operations in Omaha without much advance notice. To minimize mail delivery disruptions between district facilities, we solicited quotes from 6 couriers, in which 2 responded. We are finalizing the contract with the low bidder, Capital Express, and are asking for ratification of the award. The next item may be found at the top of page 3. We issued a request for proposals for a system integrator to migrate our current Enterprise Resource Planning Program, SAP ECC, to SAP S/4HANA. The board may recall last December approving the S/4HANA cloud-based application to modernize the district's technology platform as part of the digital transformation initiative. 7 proposals were received and reviewed by our IT team, ranking each based on the integrator's capabilities, technology requirements, and project requirements. The proposals were shortlisted to 3 finalists, where each were invited to present their proposals in person to the ITS team, business leaders, and our software provider, SAP. References were also contacted to obtain feedback on similar SAP migration projects completed at other utilities. Considering each proposal, established criteria, the presentation, references, and price, integration, cognizance, proposal is recommended for approval. The next item is at the bottom of page 3.
Excuse me, John.
Yes.
I wanted to ask on that. That $6.2 million, how many years is that spread over?
So we intend to go live, and Stu and Jensen can correct me if I'm wrong, but at the beginning of next year. So this is over, it's for this year.
It's a lump sum payment? One?
No. Let me help Stu.
Good morning, Sue Lobsiger, Senior Vice President, CIO. This contract is a series of payments based on deliverables, the bulk of which will be in 2024, but it's budgeted into 2025. Final payment will be in 2025.
Thank you.
I have a question about that. Do they charge us and we pay them? Do they hang around to help us get it going and make it? Because it's never 100% fits from what I understand about these things, especially with this kind of purchase.
Yes. As part of this contract, it includes a 3-month support. So after go live, they will be with us for 3 months to support us through that transition.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is at the bottom of page 3. We accepted bids for a mini excavator in which the second low bid is recommended. The low bidder was offering an unapproved manufacturer and had several exceptions to the specifications to include the size of the backfill blade, the ability of the blade to be positioned at an angle which is more effective when backfilling, and the ability of the blade to float over the ground when the excavator is moving. The last two items may be found on page 4. We are recommending the second low bid for a 20,000-pound trailer. The low bidder didn't meet specifications related to the structural components of the frame and the axle's load capacity. We are recommending the purchase of 2 single-axle semi-tractors from Truck Center. Truck Center was the successful bidder in December for the exact same tractor and has agreed to hold their pricing. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
John, I've got a quick question for you, and I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but how does, and I understand they're different applications, but I'm talking under the annuals, ductile iron versus HDPE. What's the cost per foot if you're talking about the equivalent size pipe using, whatever the diameter is per foot? How does that compare?
So if we take a look at, let's just say 6-inch, which is a very common size for ductile iron push joint, that is $33.39 a foot. And for the HDPE, that is $5.69 a foot.
I thought there was a difference. I didn't know it was quite that stark.
It's stark. Mark Doyle, President. John, you don't need help on this, but this is a topic that we all know is going around. As you saw, Director Friend, we're using HDPE in Bennington. Great application for it. If we want to, we're having our annual update, hopefully in April on our IR program, and I wanted to ask the board if that's a good time. That can be part of this, and is Masa here? Okay, that can be part of this, so we can talk about this a little bit, but I want to be able to educate not just me, but the board on the big picture, because installing HDPE is fundamentally different. It has different applications. The good news is we have the industry uses the term cohort. All that means is we're using PVC, maybe not as much as we thought we would. We're definitely using HDPE, and our construction crews are well versed with it. We're designing with it. We're also continuing to use push joint ductile iron, as John mentioned. The total installation is the issue, but I'm with you. That's a stark difference on per foot.
And that's the reason I was asking, because I thought also ductile iron, I heard push joint, but I thought there was a mechanical joint also.
There is an RJ, and that particular one for RJ pipe is $42.69.
I just wanted to make sure that as this thing moves forward, this could play a role, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Doyle, but this could play a role in what our costs are to put pipe in going forward, and especially as we look at the availability, the flexibility, literally, of the HDPE. I don't know what, anyway, I just want to make sure that we're looking at that, because to a board member who doesn't really understand the difference of the application between the two, 4 or 5 times more expensive for one versus the other, I need to understand why we're not doing HDPE more often, or as often as we can.
And we would love to have a bigger conversation, and Masa has provided me with some great facts on the difference between HDPE and ductile, especially in the case of downtown, because you and I have discussed this about the streetcar path. And when
I was trying not to mention that. But
that's okay, though. I wish it wasn't. It's being mentioned a lot, so I'm okay with that. But The nature of the soil can be an issue, we're not sure, but shorter runs are harder not harder, they're different. We don't have the experience to make sure that we're not taking additional risks, but we're not close to the idea. We would like to have the bigger conversation. And the good news is, our crews now are happy with different, not just installation methods, but also pipe. We only had one choice not too long ago.
A decade ago it was vastly different.
Our crews are pipe bursting, they're using HDPE, they're using PVC, they're using ductile iron, and they're giving us some great information from the field. But yeah, we could maybe talk about this in our annual update, unless you want to call Masa up now.
No.
Okay.
I just, you understand from
Yes.
having sat on this side of the board table, if you understand what I mean,
Yeah.
that when it comes to cost, and they both transmit water or transfer
Yes.
water, explain to me why we're paying this much for one and this much for the other. And that's the discussion that needs
Yeah,
to be had.
We will.
Thank
And
you.
we're having it, and we're having it with the city, as a matter of fact. So, thank you.
All right, any further questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, John. Vice President of Engineering, Masa Nia, will now review the proposed main extensions. Good morning, Masa.
Good morning. Masa Nia, Vice President of Engineering. This morning, I'd like to present 5 water main extensions and 1 gas main extension behind tab 9. The impacts of the 5 water main extensions include water service and fire protection for 282 residential lots, as well as 5 commercial lots. The lone gas main extension includes gas service to 206 residential lots. These are located in District Subdivisions 2, 4, and 6. I'd like to highlight project listed as number 4 at the bottom of page 1 and continues on the top of page 2, which is job number WP 2031, showing a map here of that project near 204th and Harrison Street. This is the final segment to complete the transmission main system from Platte West Water Production Facility to the rapidly growing areas of Sarpy County, including our proposed southwest reservoir near 168th and Cape Hart Road. As you may recall, the board previously approved WP 1890, which is north of this project shown there in lime green along 204th Street. That was at the November 2022 board meeting, as well as the 36-inch transmission main near 186th and Giles to the south and east. That was approved at the April 2023 board meeting. The one WP 1890A is complete. It was put in service last summer. The one near 186th and Giles is nearing completion. Will be put in service this summer. So this final segment, requesting your approval today, is for approximately $2.5 million, in which we received favorable costs with very competitive bids, as Mr. Zellers pointed out in his bid letter. Received 8 bids on this one. And that's a complement to the district's planning, design efforts, bid and procurement procedures there. The cost is covered by the district and paid through our impact fees. Just a reminder, the impact fees are part of our billing price book that the board reviews at the May board meeting and becomes effective June 1st of each year. So I got a picture here just to help show the extensive amount of work that is involved with installing a 36-inch transmission main. So this is the section that was to the north, so along 204th Street, along the east side of the road. There's no photoshopping here. Those are actual sized people in the trench box there. As you can see, there's a lot of earthwork needed to get a 36-inch water main installed. And what you're not seeing, what follows is there's sand embedment that they need to install around our transmission main. So a lot goes into a 3,500-foot main extension when I mentioned $2.5 million worth of work. So really critical to our distribution system, helps with our resiliency as was highlighted last month during some major events like the ice jam, that it's infrastructure like this, along with our hardworking employees, that keep the water flowing and going to our customers. And that's all I plan to cover.
Maybe I missed it. How deep do you bury these big 36-inch mains?
Yeah, standard. So I say standard because we've got design engineers that look at each location and determine what the proper depth is. Typically, these larger transmission mains are 6-7 foot cover if there's no future grading involved. But we may go deeper as we look at county plans and if they plan to, I guess, cut the roadway down some, or if there's creek crossings or other infrastructure that we've got to get underneath. So it could be quite a bit deeper than 6 or 7 feet at times.
And what was that coating on the pipe?
Yeah, so the white wrap around the pipe is V-Bio polywrap. It helps inhibit corrosion. And so that's the polywrap. We often say polywrap. The V-Bio is an enhanced polywrap that we use around the zinc-coated ductile iron.
And one last question, put it in perspective for me. What kind of water flow do you have through a 36-inch pipe?
Quite a bit. So I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but our design standards are to try to reduce the velocity so we're not wasting energy as water moves across the system. Just for example, we've got surrounding towns, wholesale customers that are serving thousands of people that are served through a 12 or 16-inch water main. So when we talk about a 36-inch water main, we really are talking about tens of thousands, if not more, customers.
Was it a 36-inch that broke in Florence, at Florence?
A little bigger.
4 feet.
So 42.
Somebody yell it out. Steph?
42.
42,
Yeah. It's
okay.
bigger than 36.
Because that was a lot of water there.
Yeah, that's a lot of water, and coming out of water treatment plants, and the way we tie our major infrastructure together with pump stations, reservoirs, this really makes our triangle reliability that much stronger, having these transmission mains in place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one comment on top, not one comment, a few comments on top of Masa's presentation, Mark Doyle, President. This is really, for those of us that live this and you that provide the resources we need and those before you, this is really a moment for me. I remember coming onto the board in January of '93, and a couple months later, we accepted the pre-design report to build Platte West, which had been talked about for 2 decades before that, possibly. And to see this kind of extension of a water system to take care of a large metropolitan area, those before you, you now, this generation of leadership, to have the ability to extend at like you need to is never taken for granted. This is, when you see these kind of extensions of 36-inch water mains, 24-inch going out into areas that we always hoped that we could support. It's not just about serving, it's supporting, life essential services. This wouldn't be possible without the board's support of those large things that I was asked for in your chair and that we're being asked for now. So, this is, and I was talking to Director McGowan a little bit. You see the full circle here. We used to call them capital facilities charges, but we changed it to impact fees. When we ask for those impact fees or raises to them, and the developers hopefully understand that without that, we could never extend these type of large, expensive pioneer mains like we do, so thank you for that. Not all miles of mains are created equal. A mile of this is a little different than a mile of 6-inch in a neighborhood, so thank you. That's a nice moment. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Masa. Vice President of Human Resources Bonnie Savine will now review employee wage and/or salary increases and ratifications. Good morning, Bonnie.
Thank you. Good morning. Bonnie Savine, Vice President, Human Resources. I'll do a quick recap of employee counts for the end of February. On end of February 28th of 2023, 871 regular full-time employees and 3 regular part-time. So that gave us 874 regular employees. February 29th, 2024, we had 893 regular full-time employees and 5 regular part-time for a total of 898. We also had 10 temporary part-time employees, and that consisted of 1 temp part-timer and 9 interns. A quick review of jobs actively in various stages of placement. We have 9 jobs with requisitions that are routing through the approval process right now. We have 12 jobs that are posted. As you can see on the monitors, we have 9 that are external only. We have 1 that is internal and external, so there are 10 on the screen. And we have 2 that are internal only at this time. We have 6 jobs in application review or interview stages, and then we also have 5 jobs with 5 selected candidates. They will be onboarding over the next few weeks. Now behind tab 10, you'll find the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications letter. Human Resources is recommending the Board of Directors approve the wage or salary increases for 33 employees this month. In the letter, you'll see 13 OAC employees listed for wage increases due to promotion. Additionally, there are 2 OAC employees with increases due to a promotion via job progression. And we also have 18 SPA employees on the letter with salary increase recommendations due to promotion and reevaluation. And we have 1 SPA new hire, Amanda, in the HR department. So we are happy to welcome her on board.
Bonnie?
Yes, Director McGowan.
Is Amanda, did she replace someone or is she a staff add?
She did replace someone. One of our HR staff members actually was promoted into a role in the IT department.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Thank you.
You're welcome. And moving on then to tab 11. Behind tab 11, you will find the letter regarding the selection for Vice President, Senior Vice President, Chief Operations Officer. It is recommended the Board of Directors approve the selection of Kendall Miner as Senior Vice President, Chief Operations Officer. Based on his education and proven work experience, he is recommended for the position, and given the responsibilities of the position, it is recommended the Board of Directors authorize the salary of Mr. Miner at $290,000 per year effective March 4th, 2024 under district policy. I want to mention 2 things. First, we do have a little meet and greet that is planned for today in the lunchroom after the board meeting, where we will have some refreshments and Mr. Miner will be available to meet board members and employees. And we also have another one planned next Tuesday at the Operations Center in the Construction Center lunchroom at 7:30 a.m. All of our employees have been invited via email, so we hope that you'll have an opportunity to stop by and meet Kendall. And now I'd like to invite him up to share a couple comments.
Thank you, Bonnie, and good morning to the board. Kendall Miner. I'm excited to be here. Really grateful to be a part of this team. Everybody I've met so far has been, really welcoming, and the City of Omaha has been really welcoming as well. So looking forward to getting here and getting started and, being a part of helping our ratepayers and helping our utility be better. So thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very glad to have you here, sir. Thank you. Assistant General Counsel Joseph Kem will now review the Bennington Condemnation Authority request. Welcome, Joseph.
Thank you. Good morning. Joseph Kem, Assistant General Counsel. Tab 12 is a request, or behind tab 12 is a request of the board to authorize the use of eminent domain to acquire a permanent easement. The permanent easement is necessary as part of the Bennington Pressure Improvement Project that Mr. Melville spoke about earlier. This easement will allow a connection between the new HDPE main and existing mains in North 2nd and North 158th Street. We are asking for this authority really as a last resort. We've had cordial discussions with the property owners. We have made offers of compensation to acquire this easement, but simply have been unable to come to an agreement. So we are asking the board to adopt the resolution behind tab 12. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Government Relations Attorney Rick Kubat will present the second legislative report for 2024. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning. On tab 13 should be the legislative report. Before I start with that, I had spoken with Mr. Doyle and Mr. Mendenhall about publicly thanking U.S. Senator Deb Fischer and her work on lead service line issues. Specifically, Senator Fischer led a letter with Senator Klobuchar of the state of Minnesota encouraging the IRS to resolve this issue of potential tax liability for homeowners who have their lead service lines replaced. This was going to be problematic for us as we're encouraging the public to allow us to replace their homeowner lead service line. We were going to have to inform them, and on the back end of this, you may have tax liability. This is not just an M.U.D. issue. It was a Nebraska issue. It was a national issue. Senator Fischer also encouraged and received support on that same letter from Senator Ricketts, Congressman Bacon, and Congressman Flood. And it was really the Nebraska delegation that brought, I would say, a bipartisan flavor to the request to the IRS. In addition to that, we were concerned with the expedience of it because we wanted to get the matter resolved sooner rather than later with, I would say, as we're beginning to stand up our lead service line program. I know Mr. Doyle sent a handwritten note to Senator Fischer, but extremely grateful. I do believe that the Nebraska delegation made a difference on this letter, and the IRS, which usually takes quite a long time to respond to these types of issues, has recently responded that they are going to provide an exemption specifically to residential property owners when their lead service lines are replaced. And then in addition to that, Senator Fischer does have a pending $4 million appropriation specifically for M.U.D. to replace lead service line, and that is in the congressional budget package. And I think we're going to find out as recently as the end of this week whether or not that $4 million is maintained within the package. It's in there right now. The budget package in front of Congress is extremely large, and my hope is that at the next board meeting, I'll be able to tell you where we are at with that. So as far as the legislative report, the second bill on page 1, we recommended that the board oppose, and the board did take a position to oppose that bill. That was the state fire marshal's cleanup bill that enhanced fines for violations of the Nebraska Pipeline Safety Act. The district, along with Northwestern, Black Hills, and then basically everybody else represented through the Nebraska League of Municipalities, brokered an agreement with the State Fire Marshal's Office, essentially inserting additional due process through access to the Administrative Procedures Act. Essentially, the State Fire Marshals can issue us a notice of probable violation. It used to go directly to the Attorney General's office. Now there's an additional step where if the natural gas providers don't agree with the State Fire Marshal's office determination, we have the right to request a hearing before an administrative judge. So this is a pretty substantial get in terms of protecting our due process rights. And with that, Black Hills and Northwestern have moved to a neutral position with the understanding that amendment's going to be adopted, and management is recommending that the district do the same. So this is the one item on your legislative report where we're requesting a change in district position from opposition to neutral. there aren't any questions on that, I'm going to go ahead and move on. I guess to back up, that bill did receive a speaker priority designation and will be considered by the body of the legislature in all likelihood. LB 1245, as introduced by Senator McDonnell, the hope, that is the bill that clarifies some language on the already established $10 million lead service line cash fund. The budget, the biennium budget is supposed to be out Thursday of this week, I guess tomorrow. So we'll know more about what language is included, and I'll be able to fill the board in more on where that bill is again next month. The next bill I wanted to discuss is on page 3. That's LB 1277, that would allow utilities that operate in a multi-county jurisdiction, instead of having to go and request an emergency declaration in every single county you operate in, it would provide utilities with permissive authority to request such a declaration directly to the governor. This bill was opposed by the Nebraska Emergency Management Agency and therefore the executive branch. The conversation was primarily centered around emergency declarations and emergency actions should be dictated at the local level. In short, I think this bill has a tough road ahead of it going anywhere with that kind of opposition. And then lastly, really the only other one I wanted to mention is LB 1358 by Senator McDonnell is a bill that would allow all political subdivisions to make compensation adjustment for their boards. That bill has a pending amendment, and as I say that, it is not out of committee, but this bill has been redrafted numerous times. It affects cities and counties. For purposes of the district, what it would allow you to do is provide a cost of living adjustment plus 1% from the last time that this board made compensation adjustments, which the last time you did that was back in 2005, and essentially this board did compensation adjustments in a staggered approach, meaning your last one was January of 2007. This would allow this board to provide a cost of living adjustment plus 1% if the bill were to move. It also has a different component for public power, which essentially just doubles their salaries. Public power in the future would still have to go back to the legislature for compensation adjustments for their board of directors. Cities, counties, and M.U.D, you guys could make compensations adjustments no more than once every 2 years. So you would essentially have your own autonomy over pay raise increases. That being said, because of the doubling on the power side, their compensation adjustment would be slightly higher than what your potential compensation adjustment would be within the bill. Sorry about that, but the amendment is 16 pages long, and it's somewhat, it's not a simple read. So with that, that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Rick, on page 2, LB 1186, why are we neutral on that to remove strict liability? I get images of M's Pub and all that. You know, why are we neutral on that?
This one is a narrow bill in the sense that it's really driven by telecommunications and fiber. What this bill is targeted to do, and it was brought by Senator Sanders in Sarpy County, what the bill is attempting to address is primarily new development in residential neighborhoods. There is some sense of frustration that your cable and fiber lines are just being draped across the yards of these new residential properties, and they're not being buried to the appropriate depth. M.U.D. being on both the excavator and operator side of it, there's kind of pros and cons for us. None of the other, to my knowledge, none of the other natural gas providers in the state really got involved in this bill. But it's really a new development fiber bill. So it's narrow to that specific issue of new development. Or that's the intent, I should say.
Is there a requirement to bury those lines 10 inches below the surface?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And Rick, when's the last day of this short session?
So today is day 39, meaning there's 21 business days left, and they are tentatively set to adjourn on April 18th. There has been some rumors through the lobby that if they don't come with a property tax relief package, that we could potentially be looking at a special session specifically for that purpose.
Is this rural property taxes or all of our property taxes?
That, Senator Cook, I like that question, and you know that's a loaded one.
Well, I'm just recalling that when I was served in the legislature, we didn't get to the residential ones for some reason.
It's the, what I would say it's the governor's ambitious plan to provide 40% of property tax relief, and how the legislature gets there is anybody's guess.
Okay.
But I do enjoy the question, and
Yes.
would love to talk to you about it off the mic.
Sure, of course. Thank you.
So, Mark Doyle, President. Rick's being modest here on this lead service line sales, or let me say this. Imagine, so we're going to pay to replace lead service lines, and I mean we, the nation of the water industry. So we're going into neighborhoods that have this problem. We're repairing it. We're replacing it. We don't repair them. We replace them. We're ahead of the game here in this area, and we're ready for it. We have an inventory. We know we have 12,000 with 4,000 in flux, so we're saying we have 16,000. And I'm not going to try to do the math, but 16,000 services times 8,000 per service, if that's where we're at, is
It's like 127 or 128 million, but with inflation, we're expecting it to be
It's a lot.
157
It's a lot.
million.
So now the state presented us with this problem of, oh, by the way, you need to present a 1099 when you're done. So let's just say, am I right?
That's right.
Let's just say you're in the 15% tax bracket for the sake of the story. 15% of 8,000 is probably 1,200?
Somewhere.
Give or take. Multiply that by 16,000, you're up to $19 million that would be taken from our customers that were trying to fix a problem that's not their fault, and multiply that across the millions of lead service lines across the country. You get the picture. This was such a barrier, it took us off task to try to solve this problem. And Rick gets pretty serious about some things, and he served what I call a layup to Senator Fisher's office. Such a layup that Senator Fisher and Senator Klobuchar teamed up and got it done really fast. That just doesn't happen today. That is about as nonpartisan, unusual as it gets in my book. And the water industry has been talking to Rick saying, yeah, we kind of heard about this. Thanks for, I'm not giving you 100% credit, but Rick led the charge on this, and he spent a lot of time in my office on this, is why I'm telling you about it. Nice work. But I could tell Senator Fisher's office by the emails that we've gotten, they really appreciate this. Not to get credit, to really take care of a problem that should have never been on the table, and now we can get back to what we're trying to do with your support to get these lead service lines out of the homes of our customers. So I don't want to take a lot of time, but I can't help but call that out. This has really been something. Are we to the finish line? I think we are on that topic.
We are, in terms of, we know residential properties won't have the tax liability, and it was the district, along with the cities of Hastings, Lincoln, and the Nebraska League of Municipalities, requesting assistance from Senator Fisher. But yeah, I can't thank her enough. And to your point, Mark, you know, getting the buy-in of property owners is already going to be difficult. They're going to have to be on water pitchers
would have
after
been
the
a
fact.
major
We're going to disturb their yards, and when we're trying to get them to acquiesce to this project, telling them that they might have tax liability on the back end, I
We
think
lose
would have
their
made
trust.
it would have made it very difficult.
No.
Also, they don't have it.
No. They would just
The
say,
parts
no,
of
you're not.
town.
They'd say, no, we don't want that. So, nice work.
Thank you for that.
Rick, you do a great job in Lincoln, and we appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rick. I think we
you.
need a new walk-up song for you now after those kind words. Jeez.
I don't know.
We'll have to give that some thought for next month, Rick.
I don't know. Taking care of business still works.
It does.
I
It
don't know.
does.
There probably are better ones.
Thanks, Rick. Are there any members of the public in attendance today who would like to address the board? Seeing none, do any board members have any further comments about our committee meetings this morning?
I would just like to express our condolences to Kay Levine's family for her recent passing. I think there were 3 of us that have worked with her as the executive secretary for the president and the board of directors.
Thanks for mentioning that, Tim. And I know Kay and my mother were very good friends, and Kay took very good care of Mom, and Mom enjoyed calling in to talk to Kay about anything happening in the world. So may she rest in peace, and thanks for her service. 43 years to M.U.D. Anything further from the board? Seeing nothing, this meeting is now concluded. We will reconvene with the regular monthly board meeting at 9:23. Thank you, everybody. I would like to call the meeting to order. My name is Jim Begley. I'm the chairperson of the M.U.D Board of Directors. I'd like to welcome you all to the regular monthly board meeting this morning, March 6, 2024. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. Roll call, please, Sarah.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Begley.
Here.
Cook. Here. Friend.
Here.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Here.
Howard.
I would like to advise all those in attendance today that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall in the back of the boardroom. For those who wish to participate, we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seeking approval for the committee meetings and regular board meeting for February 7th, 2024. Do we have a motion?
I move for approval of the minutes of those meetings.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Director Friend, items 5 through 9.
Thank you. Item number 5, capital expenditures. This was discussed in committee, and I move approval as outlined in the memo from Andy Melville dated February 27th.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Item number 6, acceptance of contracts, payments to final estimates, also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Adam Gartner dated February 16th.
Anybody else here besides me?
Second.
In spirit.
Discussion on the second. Whoever can chime in. Discussion. Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Item number 7, also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Adam Gartner dated February 14th.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Item number 8, bids on materials and contracts during the month of February, also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Sherry Lightfoot dated February 22nd.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Item number 9, main extensions, also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Masa Nia dated February 27th.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Item number 10, wage and/or salary increases and ratifications. I move that we approve the items discussed in committee and outlined in Ms. Savine's memo dated February 27th, 2024.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Item 11, selection of Senior Vice President and Chief Operations Officer. I move that we approve of the selection of Mr. Kendall Miner as Senior Vice President and Chief Operations Officer as discussed in committee and outlined in the memo from Ms. Savine dated March 1st, 2024.
Second.
Second also.
Discussion. Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Director Kavanaugh, items 12 and 13.
Item 12, the district management is requesting that we approve condemnation authority for an easement, permanent easement in the southeast corner of Lot 16 in the Bennington Park subdivision. And I move for approval.
Second.
And it was discussed in committee as well.
Still second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Item 13, the second legislative report. I understand there was a change in position, and management is requesting that we approve the position as stated in the letter from Rick Kubat and also presented in committee by Mr. Kubat. I move for approval.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
At this time, we're going to take up the President's Performance and Salary Review. At the February board meeting, in closed session, we discussed the President's Performance Review. At that time, we discussed a 3.75% rate increase for President Doyle, consistent with the SPA increase that was approved at the February board meeting. I move to approve a 3.75% general increase, along with any applicable progression increase for Mark Doyle, as consistent with our previous annual reviews.
Second.
Discussion.
I'd like to say thank Mark, because I think you've done a great job in your leadership. You're always prepared and you help us get through some discussion items and everything. And I think you're doing a great job, and I appreciate that, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just by way of creating a record and to remind colleagues on the board, we are handling this the same way we did in the past. Each rank or each grade of pay has a strata, and so we are treating Mark the same as we have, or as the president, we are treating him the same as we have for any other SPA employee. So there's nothing different.
Thank you.
I want to express my appreciation to Mark. I think you've done a terrific job, very thorough job, and as usual, there are a number of issues constantly with this position you have, and you've handled each one with professionalism and what we would expect from you. So you checked all the boxes.
Yeah. Thank you. I'd like to add that I like the way you communicate, in writing directly, and I feel very comfortable asking any questions about what's going on now, the history, what that means, what is that, and I think that helps me feel like I'm representing our customer owners.
Thank you.
And Mark, thank you for your leadership. And as we joked after the January meeting, 2023 was an eventful year, and we hope for an uneventful year for 2024. There's no such thing as an uneventful day in your seat, so thank you for your steadfast leadership and your, as Tanya said, your communication with the board is incredibly important for the important decisions that we make too, so thank you for your leadership.
Thank you all for your support. Our employees, we recognized a hero today for above and beyond the kind of work that we do here. They're heroes every day. And from the management team to the field and everything in between, they've been through a lot of change. I'm change. I'm different than maybe they had before me and before Scott. And when you live this internally, it is quite different than being on this board, but I just couldn't ask for a better group of employees to work with. And it's not just senior management, the VPs and middle management. It's the field, the operations folks, the back office, top to bottom. We really have something here. So kind of gives me the to go on, and what I'm trying to do and what we're trying to do is expect the unexpected, because that's about all you can do. There'll be something unexpected this year. There may be something unexpected this afternoon, but the commitment by the employees of this utility to what they do is, it's really something else. And, you know, for us that have been, it's a heritage for a lot of us, and, you know, for you for sure, and Tim, and I got to work with, you know, other generations of your family, and I've gotten to know this current board. We have a nice mix of newer, and I've been working with Dave and Mike for a long time. It's something. It is a vocation. It's not just a career. It's really a commitment to our community. So I appreciate that. I want to ask you to think about the state of the district. I always like to stop and say, what are we really trying to do here? Well, we're trying to communicate to our board of directors, but we're also communicating to the public. So if there's anything you would like me to think about and include, let me know. It doesn't have to be next month. It can be, you know, we've gone as far as July. I'd like to do it in April or May. So think about that. I have a plan, and it's not too much different than some of the things you've seen in the annual report and maybe in the correspondence that you've sent, Jim, that we've helped you with to let the public know what we're doing. But last, I mean, I don't want to ruin this because we're really having an effective meeting, but this is for Director Kavanaugh. So I'm a customer of M.U.D. also, and I've been a customer of M.U.D. almost my whole life, other than a short time that we didn't live here in this area. So a couple Fridays ago, I responded to a letter, the second letter, I'm ashamed to say, from M.U.D., but I think they send 3, 4, and 5 when they need to do things in our homes. And I called on a Friday evening after hours, kind of maybe on purpose, but and I didn't leave a message. So Monday morning, I get a call from the employee in dispatch that says, I saw your number on our line, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I'm responding to a letter, second notice, maybe it was the third notice, and said I need to get my meters replaced. And he gave me some options. I said, that doesn't work, here's what I'd like. I got that option. He said, okay, we're gonna be there within 2 hours on Friday from noon to 2, which I picked. And Thursday, I got a text 24 hours in advance. Actually, it was 8 in the morning that said, we're coming tomorrow. I thought that's great. When the technician from Field Services was on his way to my home, I got a text with a picture of who to expect. Looked at it, he showed up. It within the window, was done in 25 minutes, thanked me, asked me if he would like him to cover his shoes when he came in, and it couldn't have been better. And I still think, you know, I could go on across this company of all the things that we've done, but your push on some of these things, whatever it is, really does help us. We wouldn't have gotten that done as quickly as we would have had it not been for the board. And I know that the reason our public supports us as well as they do is because of the work that we do day in and day out. I'm sure other companies here, how come you can't do this? M.U.D. does. It was really a great experience, and part of the reason why I'm happy to be a customer here. Maybe they knew it was me. By the time he was done, he knew it was me, but I don't think they did. I think they treat everybody like they're the president of this company. I really do. So, sorry, had to take a little moment to give you a real story on. That's really a good thing, and we're hitting those appointments. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's high.
It's a good thing he didn't say your name was Kavanaugh, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that would have been okay, too.
It's the whole customer experience. It's not any one person. It's not necessarily an idea. It's the whole approach to this and advancements in the technological field, GPS, the buy-in from our staff.
Yeah.
All that comes together. It takes the whole unit to do that, the whole staff to make things like that happen.
Yeah. But your push and your priorities are considered, and they're very helpful. So that's just one of those. It was a pretty proud moment for me.
Pushing's easy.
I know. I agree. I know what you. So I always say it's easier to do nothing, but that's not what we're going to do.
So we do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Do any board members have any further comments they wish to share?
Jim, I have Chairman Begley, I'm sorry. I have one comment. I meant to ask it earlier for Jim Knight. I'm looking at the gas prices, natural gas. They're lower than $2, $1.95, $1.96. What were they a year ago?
Are you ready for this? They're pretty good, huh, Jim?
Well, March gas prices are $1.45, and last year they were about $2.60 for March. This is the lowest March gas prices we've seen since 1995.
Very good year.
Are storage levels pretty full?
Nationally, yeah, they're about 12% above last year's average and 25% above the 5-year average. So that's really what's keeping gas prices really, really low.
So all the budget customers are going to see reductions in their bill?
Eventually, yeah. if these prices hold, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
You bet.
About the middle of January, I was kind of starting to doubt your weather forecast a bit there, when it was way below zero and about the warmer winter we're about to have, and the bill's going to be less than they were a year ago, and I'm going, oh God, I hope he's right. You were.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or anything else that board members would like to bring up, other than the fact that next year in the March 2025 meeting, let me get the memo out there right now that Bonnie got. Let's try to wear green in the spirit of the month of St. Patrick's Day. Bonnie, thank you. Well done. Well played, ma'am. Well played.
Director Begley, one quick thing. State of the Union, Mark said he's ready April or May. Can we pick a date and just so we know what's on the calendar? How about May? Ask him to have it ready for the May board meeting?
I'm fine with that.
Is that May 1st?
Directors?
Yes.
May 1st.
Works for me.
Okay.
We'll shoot for May then.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything further, directors?
Happy birthday, Bonnie.
Oh,
St. Patty's Day.
okay.
Are there any members of the public who would like to comment about anything discussed at the meeting today to address the board? Seeing none, and with no closed session today, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I so move.
Second.
Discussion?
Jinx.
Roll call.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Begley.
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Sidzik. McGowan.
Yes.
Meeting is
Howard.
adjourned.
Thank you.